Bajheera here. I wanted to make a quick video as a follow-up to that very exciting legendary memory drop that I got, which is a lot easier to get now, by the way. I was farming normal for that. It took me about 30 runs, but they made it so that you could, 1, spam heroic, 2, legendary memories now have a much higher chance to drop from higher difficulties. So Mythic will be a very high chance to drop. I imagine Mythic Plus will be a high chance to drop, but Heroic is a better chance than normal. So if you want to get your buddies together and spam Heroic instead of normal, that'll give you a higher chance to have that thing drop. But anyway, this, like I said, is going to be a follow-up to that video, because even though I posted, hey, I got this awesome memory, people are like, okay, so that's really exciting, but is that the legendary that you decided to craft? So I wanted to make a quick video telling you guys what legendary I chose for my first one, what gear slot I put it on, what stats I chose, and if you're even newer to the game and you just don't really know how to craft a legendary at all, we can go through that process as well. But just to sort of get right to the big answers of the video, I did indeed choose to craft Gauntlets of the Unhinged. Use the Unhinged memory. This will make it so that while Bladestorm is active, I automatically cast a total of 2 Mortal Strikes at random nearby enemies. Now, these Mortal Strikes do get buffed by your Overpower. They do apply Sharpened Blade. They do everything that a Mortal Strike will do. They do apply Mortal Combos sometimes. They can double proc your Mortal Strike, and those can be Sweeping Strikes. So it's a normal Mortal Strike. It just casts off a Bladestorm. And to me, that sounds like, okay, so it only casts 2 Mortal Strikes every minute and a half, you know, on a Bladestorm. That doesn't seem that insane. But keep in mind that you can keep first of all, keep in mind that it interacts with all of your Mortal Strike stuff, right? Which is pretty good. So it's like, okay, well now, yeah, I can see this. Keep in mind that you can also use the PvP talent, Storm of Destruction, to make your Bladestorm only a minute cooldown. So it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of getting there. And keep in mind that in PvP, Burst is your friend. Burst is a big deal. Burst is one of those things that pops people, takes people out. So it actually ends up becoming pretty powerful. I don't think it's like insane, but it definitely feels really good when you have 2 stacks of Overpower. You have a Sharpened Blade up, you have a Warbreaker, Avatar, and you've got either your Bastion Mastery buff or you've got your Ardenweald Mastery buff, and then you Bladestorm somebody and the Mortal Strike crits them for 10k in a Bladestorm. That feels pretty good. And then at Mortal Combos, people just get deleted by this thing. So on the surface, it doesn't seem that insane, but just because of the way it works with your class and what you can do, seems pretty powerful. And I think that it would be really even more fun when we can maybe, hopefully, I would imagine it'll be like Legion, where we can wear more than 1 legendary at a time. That'll be pretty cool. So I went with Unhinged for the PvP burst. It's also pretty fun in PvE, just to be able to cleave around some Mortal Strikes during Bladestorms on a bunch of packs. Or when you're out of rage, you can Bladestorm single target, and it just makes that Bladestorm feel all that much better, because you know you're going to get really big value out of 2 big Mortal Strikes popping during that Bladestorm. And so I decided to craft it on gloves. And the reason I decided to craft it on gloves is because, first of all, this is going to be a pretty high eye level piece for you. So it's going to have bigger stats than if you crafted it on a bracer, just in terms of just more stats. Second of all, you're going to be able to very easily purchase haste versus bracers from the PvP vendor, whereas haste versus gloves are not even available at all from the vendor. So you're either going to have to do PvE for it, you know, from Mythic Plus, if you can find some haste versus gloves, which you can. They're from Plagueful, I believe. Or you could get them from the raid. Maybe I haven't really looked at the raid loot to see if they're available, but I just think this makes it a lot easier to acquire haste versus gloves. Plus, there's big stats on them, so that's nice too. And of course, we crafted those with haste versatility. The reason why I did that is because for Arms Warriors, your PvP stat weights, your stat priorities are going to be, Verse is going to be on every single piece of gear, right? You're going to have Verse on every single piece of gear, ideally. And I think that haste feels really, really nice. It makes it so you generate more rage. It makes it so you have really smooth globals. And we're definitely coming down from like a lot of haste in BFA. But I think ultimately having like, you know, getting your way up to 20% haste is going to feel really, really nice. I don't know if that's something that we're even going to be able to do for a while. But I think that versatility is going to be on every piece. I think you should try to get haste on haste versatility on every piece if you can. And any piece that you can't get haste verse on, go with verse mastery. Because mastery is just, once again, it's just free damage, right? It makes your deep wounds hit a little bit harder, and it makes all your attacks against deep wounds inflicted targets deal that much more damage. So you could do, if you wanted, if you wanted to prioritize verse mastery instead of haste, you're probably not going to generate as much rage. Your globals are going to be a little bit slower, but you're going to hit like a truck. So that's something to consider. For me, I think, sorry, I always record these videos first thing in the morning. I really do think that verse makes your rotation feel really, really nice, generates more rage, and just pumps out damage. Just makes your whole gameplay feel really smooth. So verse on every piece, haste to taste. Keep in mind that your stats do begin to diminish in their effectiveness past 25%. So maybe if you somehow are able to get 25% haste, and you have verse on every piece, maybe that's a good time to just start investing into mastery. And these are the kind of things that I can talk about in other warrior guides. I do plan to make a more comprehensive warrior guide, but right now what I'm kind of doing, if you've noticed, is I'm addressing different questions that I hear often as they sort of arise. So as we are making big covenant decisions, we're talking about covenants. As we're making big legendary decisions, we're talking about legendaries. So I'm hopefully giving this information to you at times that it's helpful. But by all means, I do intend to make a more comprehensive warrior guide once we get to that point, once we've felt out PvP a little bit more. But feel free to default back to my 9.0 pre-patch warrior guide. That should probably walk you through a lot of the basics. Just disregard the stuff about essences and all the BFA stuff. But I guess we can move along. Here's the basics for those of you guys who are like, okay, so that's awesome. You crafted this really nice legendary. How the heck do I even do that? So if you fall into that category, here's the basics, right? So the first thing is to make sure that you've done your storyline missions, so that you've unlocked the Maw, so that you've unlocked Torghast, and then your boy Bolvar is going to be the guy who's giving you a lot of these quests. So Bolvar is going to be giving you quests to go to Torghast and collect Soul Ash. And I got to wrangle this guy. I believe he's over here. So go talk to Mr. Bolvar and make sure that you're doing his quests. He'll send you into Torghast to collect a certain amount of Soul Ash. And how you get Soul Ash is by completing Wings. And I believe that's the only way to get Soul Ash, is to complete Wings of Torghast. And I believe it's going to probably take you, I think, like some pretty full clears. I think it took me like 3 2/3 of, so like, yeah, so you do like 3 full clears, and I had to do 2 levels, and I can make my legendary at that point. And that's going to get you enough Soul Ash to do that. Now, another thing is, in order to actually get the materials that you need, so you need to craft it on a piece of gear. So once you determine what piece of gear you want to craft it on, you can go to their auction house and go to Rune Carving. Now, if you're a blacksmith, I believe you can make these yourself as well. Now, I don't think we need to buy these 235, 225 high level ones. Just buy a 190 high level one on whichever one you want. So if you want to put on gloves, if you want to make Unhinged, you can do that. Or you can just get DC'd as soon as you click it. That's also perfectly acceptable. So after you get DC, just go ahead and log back in. That's just all part of the plan, you know. The jailer really does not want you to make these legendary items because they are powerful. And speaking of which legendary I chose, I did make a video on that as well, where I broke down what I think is good. I definitely encourage you guys, as always, to make choices that you think would be fun for your play style and your gameplay, and act accordingly. I think this guy wanted to look at the auction house. Sorry, bro. Anyway.
Needs to be at least 2
Defy the jailer. Look at Rune Carving again. Purchase one of the pieces that you want out of this. 190 is just where it starts. I don't think it makes a difference if you wait. You're gonna have to upgrade your legendary anyway, so you may as well just go ahead and make one now and have fun with it. So you buy one of these. If you're a blacksmith, you can make it yourself. Then you have to go to and buy what's called missives. And the missive is what will determine what stats go on your legendary. So if you want haste mastery, you buy haste versatility. In my case, you can buy a missive of haste, you can buy a missive of verse, and then you have those 3 items in your inventory.
Exotic, bring it to
you got your Soul Ash. make sure that you've collected a memory. Now, the memories that you get come from different places. So the Battle Lord, for example, which is not a bad legendary option, comes from just completing Torghast. I think it's like a level 3 Torghast of some sort. This one drops off of that boss we were farming from Theater of Pain. Some of these drop from the raid, like Exploiter does, the Signet of Tormented Kings. This one, I said that it's like not optimal because it like has the opportunity to like break CC, and you have to do the raid for it, which probably isn't really that bad. But this one, if you could wear 2, this one might be a really fun one for BGs, man. It is pretty wild. I enjoyed it on beta. I don't think it's like tip-top optimal for Arena. I think the Unhinged burst is pretty wild, but this could be a really fun one. So there's a lot of different options. But anyway, you can just take a look and see which ones come from where, figure out which one you want to get, farm it up. Once it drops, you have your base component, you have your 2 missives, you have your memory that you've collected, and you have your soul ash from doing Torghast. You just drop all the way back in. Now, hopefully these things will have become apparent to you as you complete the quest lines and stuff. So this really shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but once again, if you guys are just kind of curious of how it works, right off the bat, then you just hop on over to Torghast, and you're gonna go to the Rune Carver's little area, and you go in front of him and make sure that you click on your memory to learn it, and then you waddle all the way over here, go to his little chamber, talk to this big fella, craft a legendary item, and now you're gonna click here, and you're gonna, I believe so I don't have any items to craft right now, but you're gonna grab your gloves, you're gonna go here, you're gonna determine which memory you want, you're gonna go here, you're gonna put the stats on it that you want, and then once you have enough soul ash, you can create this bad boy, and then there it is, you got your legendary. Now, over time, you're also gonna be able to upgrade your legendary, which I mean, I believe you're gonna put your main thing here. I've never upgraded one before, but it looks like we might need a. So you're gonna have to buy a base item in order to upgrade it. So that's when those higher eye level pieces come in. Looks like you have to grab your base item. I don't think any of this stuff changes, right? I think it's just mostly a base item and soul ash, and then you're gonna be good to go to upgrade it. So you don't need to worry about waiting to craft. But that's pretty much how the crafting of legendaries works. And I wanted to let you know once again which one I chose, because I like telling you guys about that kind of stuff, and they also seem to be fairly popular questions that I get on stream. So hopefully this video helps you guys out, break down which legendary I chose, and how to craft a legendary in general, if that's something that that you didn't know how to do before. And we'll keep kicking butt in the Shadowlands and keep sharing my experience with you guys. And if there's any questions that you guys have, always just feel free to drop them either in the comments of the YouTube videos, or definitely swing by the chat and ask away. I'm happy to answer them in the chat for sure. But if I see a question that appears often, and I feel like there's an opportunity for me to put some information out there that could be helpful to you guys, I will not hesitate to do that. So make sure you guys show the video some love if it helped, or if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you see when those new videos go live, because we are pumping out the Shadowlands content right now, and I'd hate for you to miss it if you want to watch it. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, dudes. Peace!